going on, people? KJ Media 100. Yo, so I saw the movie Sinners this weekend. This is a movie written, directed, and produced by Ryan Coogler. The film stars Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Miles Caton, and Jack O'Connell. Now, Michael B. Jordan has flown into some legendary status with him playing two characters. You know, when I think about an actor playing two different characters, I immediately think of Eddie Murphy. I think about Lindsay Lohan, Nicolas Cage, and Tom Hardy, to name a few. Now, Michael B. Jordan did an excellent job. You know, when we first are introduced to the twin brothers played by Michael B. Jordan, twin brothers being Smoke and Stack, I immediately knew who was who once we knew who was who. It was no mistaking. Smoke, quiet, disciplined, rarely smiles, straight to the point, and Stack, smiling, grinning, playful. He's usually the talker, and plus they wore two different colors. I'm gonna try my best not to give away any spoilers, but we know it's a vampire movie, right? So, real quick, the plot: Smoke and Stack return to Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta to be exact. Cause I'm thinking to myself like, yo, they sound real New Orleans. Like they sound they from straight up New Orleans. But then I remember that Mississippi, especially southern Mississippi, is right next to New Orleans, and that's all the bayou or the Delta, if you want to call it. So they return to the Mississippi Delta after years in Chicago in the underworld, possibly working under Al Capone. So they take their dirty money and want to buy a juke joint. In these days, we'll know it as a club. You know, he getting his ghost on from Power. You know, so they buy a juke joint and want to make some legal money and, you know, get on straight narrow path. But of course, things don't turn out the way they should. So I'm gonna get right to what I think. First off the bat, it's a vampire movie, right? I've seen plenty of vampire movies. I just saw a damn vampire movie starring Johnny Depp's daughter. I forgot the name of it. I ain't gonna lie, fam. I fell asleep on that joint, man. I fell asleep on it. It had the makings of something epic, but you know, your boy fell asleep on that shit. But I digress. Off the back, the vampires to me represent white people. I'm just gonna be real with you. If a movie represents blacks, I'm gonna say it. If it represents Asians, I'm gonna say it. If it represents people from North Korea, I'm gonna say it. This vampire movie represents white people. When I say white people, I'm talking about white Americans and Jim Crow South. That's exactly what it represented, and make no doubts about that. And then they used a so-called mixed white girl to infiltrate black society. Now, historically, they would use, when I say they, I'm talking about the FBI, CIA, the Klan, whoever. They would use dudes that like white women, and they'll use dudes that are outcasts in the community to sell out their own people. So, in the movie, she wants to, what's her name? Haley Steinfeld, who plays Mary. She's of mixed descent. And you know what's funny about her? When I first saw her in the movie, you know, I was looking at her and I'm like, she got a little bit of something that, you know, is pleasing to my eyes. And, you know, I looked up her little history, and sure enough, I think her granddad is like half Black American and Native or something like that. So, I mean, the blood is still in there. But in the movie, she plays exactly the same thing. I think her dad is half Black in the movie. But Of course, she passes for white because she's about 75% white. And she goes out to try to be like, hey, maybe they're just good old white folk. Maybe, even though she used the word crackers in the movie, I'm gonna get on the whole that usage too of the racial slurs in this movie as well. But she goes outside. She thinks maybe these guys ain't that bad. And of course, they use her by turning her into a vampire, and she goes in, and the rest is motherfucking history, of course. Um, Another thing I got from this movie: whites stealing black music. Once again, it's KJ Media 100. I'm always keeping it 100. I'm gonna call it how I see it. In one part of the movie, the damn vampire, what's his name? Rexy. What that boy name is, man? Remick. Remick. And all that, honestly, I didn't even know the nigga name was Remick. Honestly. So I watched something else. But anyway, at one point, the vampire Remick, the head one, goes, I want your voice. Like, I came here for you. I want your voice. So, so as we know from Elvis Presley, so on and so on, I might get canceled for this, but to Eminem, that's what they do. And now, there's a difference between being a part of the culture and playing some music and bigging it up and all that stuff, and there's a difference between stealing. Now, Eminem, for the most part, has been a part of the culture, and in a lot of cases, Elvis Presley, growing up in Memphis and literally going to the black churches and pretty much learning all he knew, and he always never forgot where he got his moves from, despite people going hard on Elvis. But those are outliers because we know, like the Rolling Stones said, they got their name from a Muddy Waters song called Rolling Stone. So those are outliers because the mass majority, especially in those days, of the whites, they will literally just take a song and make it over with a white guy. Like there's a famous scene in Little Richard movie where he's making a song, and then the white dude, I forgot the dude's name, but he's just making the song over, and then Little Richard had to sing so soulful and so fast that the white dude couldn't keep up. But he's like, man, I can't copy this. But I digress. That's been going on, and it's still going on now, and that leads to record companies stealing music because if you can't have a guy that can copy a black singer, let's just steal the music. Record companies sign your life away. You know, Prince is one of the well-known people, as far as I'm concerned, that was battling with the record labels. One of the first to be like on a grand stage battling the record labels. And then he initially, turned himself into a symbol. The artist formerly known as Prince. Y'all can have all that Prince shit. I'm gonna make some new shit. I'm now the artist formerly known as Prince. I'm just a symbol. So some real Gemini shit right there. But and this is not just a black and white thing. Record companies still, they don't matter what race and color you are. They stealing. They stealing. you know? So let me just go back to the white America thing real quick. The white still in black culture. Now there's a part of the movie where Remick manages, with the help of, some other people, turn the whole damn joint into vampires. And he out there shucking and jiving and dancing and showing off his best moves that he just learned. Because remember, when they bite each other, they can see into your past, they see into your history, they see a lot of things. So he's just still all kind of moves out there dancing, and that symbolizes once again the black culture. Um, I'm not gonna go too much into that because I mean, you know what that is. We know what that is. Kim Kardashian gets some damn cornrows in her hair, and then they call them boxer braids, and it's the newest thing when sisters and brothers we've been corn braiding, corn rolling, plaits, whatever you want to call it, twisting. We were doing the style hair for millennia. All right, so it also, one thing I got was one part within the juke joint. They say that music touches, you know, awakens the ancestors, and not only the ancestors, people of the future, which is very, very interesting because we always hear about the ancestors, the ancestors. As a music lover, I always feel like I'm in touch with, my ancestors, if not just a musician from the deep south when I'm listening to music. And then, but the future, that's crazy. And it showed a part where they awaken a lot of the even older music going back to, I'm gonna say, Africa. Even though if you guys know me, you know that I believe that, and not only believe, it's documented that, so-called Black Americans, African Americans, whatever you want to call us, a lot of us were here already. We are a mix of Aboriginal. We are a mix of West African. We are a mix of all these different things to be one people. But that's a different topic for a different day. But not only you see some kind of African stuff going on there, you see deep South stuff going on. Yeah, you see the feathers. You see a lot of stuff in there. And then it goes to the future and you see electric guitar. You see the rock and roll. And then you see the hip hop, you see all that stuff. So that was very, very, very touching. And as a matter of fact, it inspired me. It made me love who the hell I am. And if I was a musician, there was an aspiring musician, that would have just awakened me and inspired me even more. And one thing that was funny about that, because of course they went into hip hop, everybody on that in that scene when it was had this the spirits from the future, they were all black. Yeah, they weren't no damn Puerto Ricans in there. Shout out Fat Joe. With the whole we started this 50-50 bullshit. All right. There's a reference in the movie, a Fubu reference when I think it was Delta Slim, played by Delroy. He said for us, by us. And all the Delroy Lindo. The black people that were in the movie theater should have picked that up immediately. Immediately. For us, by us. Now, finally, what I got from it teaches us about trust. It teaches us about going home, but also teaches us that you can't trust every Tom, Dick, and Harry. All skin folk ain't your kinfolk. Trust. Trust is something that's like respect to me. Respect got to be earned. Trust has to be earned. Muhammad Ali said it best when he was on an interview back in the 70s when the man asked him, there's some white people that want to help you out, that'll fight for your cause. And Muhammad Ali agreed. He said, yes. But if there's 1,000, the whole reference of the snakes, if there's 1,000 snakes that want to bite my head off and poison me, but 100 of them want to help me out, you're gonna keep open the door and let them all in, or close the door and keep them all out. So that was a good trust. You gotta begin learning about trust. So the beginning of the movie, right? The beginning. Now, I don't have the patience to sit and watch movies no more in my old age. Usually when I'm watching a movie, in the first 20 minutes, I cut that shit off if I'm not entertained. So now this movie, it takes a long time. I think approximately about 40 minutes to get to the goddamn getting. Usually with a lot of movies, that shit is just pure boredom. But this was a good story. It was a great story. I almost forgot that it was goddamn vampires in the movie. It was a great story. It was a story that I enjoyed and I know a lot of us want to see, you know? Now getting to the main topic of the movie, that came in smooth with the introduction of the vampire. Um the main topic is what the main topic was. I loved his take on vampires. I mean, vampires have been played out. Like we did the vampire shit. We did the zombie shit. We've been doing zombies and vampires for like it's been on a run for like shit. I'm like 15 years, 15 20 years. Vampires and goddamn zombie. I don't want to see no more zombie shit. I'm checking out the last of excuse me. I'm checking out The Last of Us, but other than that, I'm done with the zombie shit. And vampires. This is a nice twist, a very nice twist. So the ending, um, the ending, I like how it ended, but I would have wanted to see more. I would have wanted to see like the vampires actually get into town, actually fuck some more shit up. Maybe that's just my violent ways, or I don't know. But I would have liked that. But the ending, I'm not gonna give away the ending like that. I'm not a dirtbag. I gave away some spoilers, but not the ending. The ending ended great. Ended cool. Ended cool. Ended cool. So, let's get into these characters. Now, Michael B. Jordan is Michael B. Jordan. I already spoke on it already. He's playing two roles. Shit. He should have got paid triple. Two for each actor that he played, that the character that he played, and another one for his goddamn inconvenience of playing two characters. Shit, as far as I'm concerned, Michael B. Jordan. I had a little debate with somebody. We were talking about who's the gonna take over for Denzel, who's talking about retiring pretty soon. Denzel is almost 70. You know, Will Smith. Who's taking over for these people? And I say Michael B. Jordan. Some people say otherwise. They say Damson Idris. They say Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors gotta get back in. Like he's already in good graces with the family, of course. But he gotta do what he gotta do to give it all the way back. Michael B. Jordan to me is a star, and to me, Michael B. Jordan is that bridge from your Denzel Washingtons, from your Will Smiths, and even from your Wesley Snipes. Because in one point in time in the '90s, late '80s going into the '90s is all about Denzel, Will Smith, and Wesley Snipes. The Wesley Snipes is right there, buddy, right there. He happened to him towards the late '90s, and he got blackballed a little bit. But we already know what that is. When it comes to black male actors, those are the people who what it was. Haley Steinfeld, I liked her. I liked her. I like the accent. Now I'm a dude from New York, so I just love a chick with I love a chick with a New York accent, of course by default. But something about them down south accents, boy. They always talk about them red bones and them accents, whatever. But you know, the accent was great. She did a great fucking job. And she said some things, and I'm not gonna reveal. Y'all probably saw the memes that I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. I like the way she talking. Miles Caton, playing Preacher Boy Sammy. Excellent. I liked him so much. Pause. I liked him as an actor so much that during that debate I had when I said Michael B. Jordan is the bridge, followed by your Jonathan Majors, Damson Idris, Lakeith Stanfield, Luke James. Luke James is a singer, turned almost full-time actor. Miles Kane, he could sing, but he got it for the acting. And how old is this man? How old is this man? I'm trying to see how old Miles Kane. He's young. I can't find his age at this point. He's young though, so we need a young dude up and coming like that. Jack O'Connell as Remick the vampire did a great job. One of my favorite parts of the movie is his intro scene to the juke joint when he goes, "I heard tale of a party," So that was cool. And all the characters overall, the characters were all solid. Wunmi Mosaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Benson Miller, Delroy Lindo, Lee Jong Lee. Like they were all phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. And in the characters department, it's getting a 10 out of 10 from me. Now, everything ain't always all good. Let me just talk about some things that I disliked. And then I'll talk about things that I loved. So, what I disliked. I would have enjoyed more to get more into the vampire's background. Like, he has his intro scene and it shows him running from some I think it was a Choctaw tribe. running from some natives, and he shows how he turned the husband and wife duo. But like, what's his background? I would have, some people say, well, where are you gonna fit that in? There's room. There's room. The movie was what, 2 hours, 20 minutes long, something like that. I don't know, 2 hours long. There was room for him in there. Also, now this is like me being petty and me just nitpicking. I would have enjoyed seeing them turn. So in other words, it showed what him turn the husband, I believe, and it showed him turn Stack. Well, not him, but I think Haley, Mary, she turned Stack, and they showed that. And that wasn't. It was a kind of a gruesome scene. It was, kind of a gruesome scene. I will admit. However, I would have enjoyed seeing them get turned. Like I said, once again, I might just be me, my Latin evil ways, but a lot of the times, the time you see what's going to happen and the scene goes away, then you see them later and they vampires. I'm like, shit. Like, how do we know what happened? Like, even for the Chinese woman's husband, he goes out and then he comes back and he's clearly a vampire, but it's like I would like to see that. All right, that showed you that how good this movie was. Because I'm talking about, I want to see the vampires background. I want to see them turn niggas. So the movie was great. What I loved the black culture as a black man. I loved all the references. I loved all of it. I loved everything about this movie. All right. Now, go into some off-topic things, miscellaneous things in the movie. I enjoyed them using good old-fashioned American English when it comes to the racial words like the niggas and the crackers. I don't like when movies never did when a white man in a racist movie or a movie from that time period will be like, those damn niggers, or that damn Negro. Call it, man, let them say nigga. That's what they was doing. I wanted to be authentic as possible. Those goddamn niggas. I don't want to hear him say, them damn niggers, or them Negroes, or I don't want to hear those damn colors. Let me be authentic. And on the other way, be authentic. Michael, the characters use cracker a lot. They use that evil white man, no damn white people a lot. How they talk. So it kept it very authentic. A lot of things were kept authentic in this movie. I'm a lover of westerns. I'm a lover of everything old. I have a very old soul. So also, this might be a surprise. It's a lot of music. Now, if you're a person that's not in a lot of music, you might be like, what the fuck is this? However, the music, I mean, it's probably what, 5 or 6 parts where music takes over for like almost 2 minutes. That's a long ass time. Usually music scenes, and unless it's a unless it's a movie on a singer like Ray, or or Elvis, you could expect that. But usually movies play about music parts for like 30 seconds is over with. So it's a couple of times the music goes almost 2 minutes. I wasn't that big on it, but I didn't dislike it, if that makes sense. Like some songs I enjoyed and I was like, cool, this goes with the movie, absolutely. And sometimes I was like, all right, this could be over in 20 seconds. I can go on with this. All right. So that's my review, that KJ Media review on the movie Sinners. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it. What did you like? What did you dislike? I'm giving this movie a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10. That's what I'm giving it. 9 out of 10. All right. KJ Media 100. Man, I'm out.